ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामीनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रसारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna, reading from Srimad Bhagavatam. By His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. We are reading from Canto 4, Chapter 20, Lord Vishnu's appearance in the sacrificial arena. We are in the final section of this chapter, text 32 to 38. Lord offers benedictions to Maharaj Prithu and then departs. So we have just seen text 34. The great sage Maitreya told Vidura, the Supreme Personality of Godhead amply appreciated the meaningful prayers of Maharaj Prithu, and thus, being properly worshipped by the king, the Lord blessed him and decided to depart. Yeah, please continue, purport.
Purport. Most important in this verse are the words Pratinandyartha Vadavachaha, which indicate that the Lord appreciated the very meaningful prayers of the king. When a devotee prays to the Lord, it is not to ask for material benefits, but to ask the Lord for his favor. He prays that he may be engaged in the service of the Lord's lotus feet, birth after birth. Lord Chaitanya therefore uses the word Mama Janmani Janmani, which means birth after birth. Because the devotee is not even interested in stopping the repetition of birth. The Lord and the devotee appear in this material world birth after birth, but such births are transcendental. In the 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the Lord informed Arjuna that both he and Arjuna had undergone many births previously, but the Lord remembered everything about them, whereas Arjuna had forgotten. The Lord and his confidential devotees appear many times to fulfill the Lord's mission. But since such births are transcendental, they are not accompanied by the miserable conditions of material birth, and they are therefore called Divya, transcendental. One must understand the transcendental birth of the Lord and the devotee. The purpose of the Lord's taking birth is to establish devotional service, which is the perfect system of religion. And the purpose of the birth of a devotee is to broadcast the same system of religion or bhakti cult all over the world. Prithu Maharaj was an incarnation of the power of the Lord to spread the bhakti cult, and the Lord blessed him to remain fixed in his position. Thus, when the king refused to accept any material benediction, the Lord appreciated that refusal very much. Another significant word in this verse is Achyuta, which means infallible. Although the Lord appears in this material world, he is never to be considered one of the conditioned souls who are fallible. When the Lord appears, he remains in his spiritual position, uncontaminated by the modes of material nature. And therefore, in Bhagavad Gita, the Lord expresses the quality of his appearance as Atma Maya, performed by internal potency. The Lord, being infallible, is not forced by material nature to take birth in this material world. He appears in order to re-establish the perfect order of religious principles and to vanquish the demoniac influence in human society. Hare Krishna.
Yes. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains the word Pratinandyartha Vachaha. Lord appreciated very meaningful prayers by Maharaj Prithu. So he's not praying for anything material. All Maharaj Prithu is praying that, my dear Lord, let me have opportunity to be engaged in your devotional service, especially hearing from your pure devotees, whose transcendental sound vibration carries the saffron dust particle at your lotus feet. Right. So this is how he's asking. And Srila Prabhupada quotes Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's prayer, Na dhanam, na janam, na sundari. Mama janmani janmanishware. Devotee's only aspiration is to be engaged in the service of the Supreme Lord. So thus the Lord and the devotee, they appear in the material world. Here the devotee referred to the pure devotee of the Lord. Right. And the Lord remembers all of these incarnations. But a devotee, even a pure devotee, may forget his previous appearance with the Supreme Lord. And that is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Bahunemi vyatitani janmani tavacharjuna. Tanyaham ved sarvani nastvam vedha paravitapah. He says that, my dear Arjuna, both you and me appeared many times previously. I remember all of them, but not you. Right. So thus, the appearance of the Lord and the appearance of the devotee, the pure devotee here, the devotees, they all are divya. The Lord appears for the divya purpose, dharma samstharpanathaya, and devotee appears for the purpose to spread the mission of the Supreme Lord. And here, Prithu Maharaj is an incarnation, is the Shaktavesh avatar to spread the bhakti cult. And thus, the Lord is blessing him to remain fixed in his position of spreading the bhakti cult everywhere. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he gives the same benedictions to everyone. Bharata Bhumite, Manushya Janma Jailayar, Janma Sarthaka Kari, Kara Paropakar. I don't know, one should Janma Sarthaka Kari, but one should not stop at Janma Sarthaka Kari. Kara Paropakar. Kara Paropakar means what one has to do is one has to take the responsibility in the mission and spread Krishna consciousness. Right. So there are many wonderful devotees who are assisting in spreading Krishna consciousness, but eventually even they also have to take charge of spreading Krishna consciousness and become the mainstream preachers in Krishna consciousness. The Lord referred here as Achyuta, Chakre Achyutomatim. So Achyuta means infallible. So he is already situated in the spiritual position, uncontaminated by the modes of material nature, and therefore is called as Achyuta. Yes, he appears, but the appearance of the Lord is Atma Mayaya. He is not appearing like Yaya Sammohito Jiva, Atmanam Trigunat. No, he is not appearing. He is not appearing like Karmana Daiva Nitrena. No, he is not like that. He is appearing out of his Atma Maya, performed by the internal pastime, and this is how the appearance of the Supreme Lord is. Text 35-36. Now, Prithu Maharaj is honoring everyone here. Devarshi Pitru Gandharva Siddhacharana Pannada Kinnara Apsara Martya Khaga Bhutani Anekashah Yajnaishwaradhiyaradnya Vakavit Anjali Bhaktitah Savajita Yayus Sarve Vaikuntha Anugata Tatah. Translation.
Translation. King Prithu worshipped the demigods, the great sages, the inhabitants of Pitarloka, the inhabitants of Gandharvaloka, and those of Siddhaloka, Charnaloka, Pannagaloka, Kinnaraloka, Apsaraloka, the earthly planets and the planets of the birds. He also worshipped many other living entities who presented themselves in the sacrificial arena. With folded hands, he worshipped all this, as well as the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the personal associates of the Lord, by offering sweet words and as much wealth as possible. After this function, they all went back to their respective abodes, following the footsteps of Lord Vishnu. Purport. In modern so-called scientific society, the idea is very prevalent that there is no life on other planets, but that only on this earth do living entities with intelligence and scientific knowledge exist. The Vedic literatures, however, do not accept this foolish theory. The followers of Vedic wisdom are fully aware of various planets inhabited by varieties of living entities such as the demigods, the sages, the Pita, the Gandharva, the Pannagas, the Kinnaras, the Charanas, the Siddhas, and the Apsaras. The Vedas give information that in all planets, not only within this material sky, but also in the spiritual sky, there are varieties of living entities. Although all these living entities are of one spiritual nature, in quality the same as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they have varieties of bodies due to the embodiment of the spirit soul by the 8 material elements, namely earth, water, fire, air, sky, mind, intelligence, and false ego. In the spiritual world, however, there is no such distinction between the body and the embodied. In the material world, distinctive features are manifested in different types of bodies in the various planets. We have full information from the Vedic literature that in each and every planet, both material and spiritual, there are living entities of varied intelligence. The Earth is one of the planets of the Bhuraloka planetary system. There are 6 planetary systems above Bhuraloka and 7 planetary systems below it. Therefore, the entire universe is known as Chaturdasa Bhuvana, indicating that it has 14 different planetary systems. Beyond the planetary systems in the material sky, there is another sky which is known as Parvayoma, or the spiritual sky, where there are spiritual planets. The inhabitants of these planets engage in varieties of loving service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which include different rasa or relationship known as Dasya Rasa, Sakya Rasa, Vatsalya Rasa, Madhurya Rasa, and above all, Parakya Rasa. This Parakya Rasa or paramour love is prevalent in Krishna Loka, where Lord Krishna lives. This planet is also called Goloka Vrindavan, and although Lord Krishna lives there perpetually, he also expands himself in millions and trillions of forms. In one of such forms, he appears on this material planet in a particular place known as Vrindavan Dham, where he displays his original pastimes of Goloka Vrindavan Dhama in the spiritual sky in order to attract the conditioned souls back home, back to Godhead. Hare Krishna.
So now Maharaj Prithu, he worshipped everyone. He worshipped the Supreme Lord. He worshipped the associates of the Supreme Lord, the personal associate, Nanda and Sunanda. They had appeared along with the Supreme Lord. And he also worshipped all the living entities like demigods, Indra included, great sages, then there are inhabitants of the Siddhaloka, Charanaloka, Pannagaloka, Kinnaraloka, Apsaraloka, Martyaloka, and Khagaloka, and Anekaha, and similarly many other living entities who had appeared for this Ashwamedha Yajna. With folded hands, he worshipped all of them by offering sweet words and as much as wealth possible. And after this function, all these personalities went back to their respective abodes, following the footsteps of Lord Vishnu. Following the footsteps of Lord Vishnu means Lord Vishnu went back to Vaikuntha. So Lord went to his abode, and all these other personalities, they went back to their own abodes. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that all these living entities went back to their own abodes means there are abodes of the living entities, and they are not vacant. This modern so-called scientific idea that there is no life anywhere except Earth is a highly miscalculated idea. Maybe 500 years down the line, maybe another couple hundred Nobel Prize to be wasted. Then the human society may come to understand that we are just the ants at the foothills of Sahyadri or Himalaya, and the life is far more than what we thought of. But the Tuara Jagatra Vichitra, the Lord's universe is completely filled with great variety. And this variety is being mentioned here. And slowly Srila Prabhupada is also preparing us for entry into 5th canto, which is going to be filled with description of the universe. And if this paragraph is going to make our search acrophyte, then that is going to be like Bhavandar only. And in fact, Bhagavatam 5th canto is famous for screening out those who are attached to the platform of Tarka. Right? One who wants to understand the Supreme Lord by the virtue of only Tarka and logic, they will be screened at the 5th canto. They have no entry, in the 10th canto. So Srila Prabhupada is preparing us for the 5th canto also. So there are living entities, and this is mentioned even in Bhagavad Gita. Yanti deva vrata devan pitrun yanti pitruvrataha. Bhutani yanti bhuteja yanti madhya janokima. That those who worship the devas, they will go to the abodes of the devata. Yanti deva vrata devan pitrun yanti pitruvrata. Those who worship the pitaras, they will go to abode of pitruloka. Bhutani yanti bhuteja. Those who worship the bhutas and pretas, they will go to their abode. Yanti madhya janokima. And my worshippers will come back to me. So there is every indication in Bhagavatam, in Bhagavad Gita, in there are so many Puranas are being mentioned about the great variety within this universe. Prabhupada says our universe is basically 14 planetary systems. Chaturdasha Bhuvana. Choda Bhuvana Maje, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says. There are 6 planetary systems, not planets, planetary systems above us, and we are the part of Bhurloka, Bhumandala, and there are 7 below us. So we are the 7th one, middle one, Martyaloka. So above us is called as Swarga, below us is called as, the Patala, or also called as Bilaswarga. And then there are Naraka, that is separate, right? So Naraka Loka being separately mentioned in the 5th canto, that we will see very clear distinction. So while this is the material universe, beyond this, parastasmat tu bhavanyo, vyakto vyaktat sanatana, there is paravyoma. Paravyoma means, para means transcendental, vyoma means sky. Paravyoma means transcendental sky. And where there are unlimited Vaikuntha Loka. And within this Vaikuntha Loka, the topmost, the devotees are engaged in different rasas there, predominantly in Dasya ras, then Sakhya ras. These are the Pancha rasas, Vatsalya ras. And the topmost is Madhurya ras, and especially in the Parakiya Bhav. So Madhurya ras in the Parakiya Bhav is specifically the glorious quality of Golok Vrindavan. And Golok Vrindavan is also mentioned, not only in Brahma Samhita. People sometimes say, only Brahma Samhita mentions Golok Vrindavan. No, there are many other Puranas which give very detailed description of Golok Vrindavan, like Brahma Vaivarta Purana. Yesterday, there was a beautiful class given by Kanai Krishna Prabhu. Amazing personality. I mean, he's like infinite knowledge. So within the class and after class, we had amazing question answer with him. So this question was there, that where the Golok Vrindavan is mentioned, where Radharani is mentioned. So Golok Vrindavan and Radharani, they are very elaborately mentioned in 2 Puranas, Brahma Purana and Brahma Vaivarta Purana. So this is where, and Brahma Samhita, of course, very elaborately there is a description of Parakiya Rasa or Parakiya Bhav. Text 37. Bhagavan api rajarashe सोपाध्यायस्य चाच्युतः हरिण्यव मनोम्युष्य स्वधाम प्रत्यपद्यत. Translation.
The infallible Supreme Personality of Godhead, having captivated the minds of the king and the priests who were present, turned to his abode in the spiritual sky. Purport: because the Supreme Personality of Godhead is all spiritual, he can descend from the spiritual sky without changing his body, and thus he is known as Achyuta, or infallible. When a living entity falls down to the material world, however, he has to accept a material body, and therefore, in this material embodiment, he cannot be called Achyuta, because he falls down from his real engagement in the service of the Lord. The living entity gets a material body to suffer and try to enjoy the miserable material conditions of life. Therefore, the fallen living entity is Achyuta, whereas the Lord is Achyuta. The Lord was attractive for everyone, not only the king, but also the priestly order, who were very much addicted to the performance of Vedic rituals. Because the Lord is all attractive, he is called Krishna, or one who attracts everyone. The Lord appeared in the sacrificial arena of Maharaj Prathu as Kshirodakshai Vishnu, who is a plenary expansion of Lord Krishna. He is the second incarnation from Kshirodakshai Vishnu. who is the origin of material creation and who expands as Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, who then enters into each and every universe. Kshirodakshaya Vishnu is one of the Purushas who control the material modes of nature. Hare Krishna.
The infallible Supreme Lord, Achyuta, what did he do? Having captivated the mind of the king and the priest, all the priests present, Swadhama Pratyapadyata. He returned to his original abode in the spiritual sky. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that the Supreme Lord descends from the spiritual sky, and because he is spiritual, his Supreme Personality, he can descend in his self-same form. And not only Lord, like when Narada Muni comes down, Narada Muni has a free entry everywhere, right? So Narada Muni also comes down, he also comes in the spiritual form. Sometimes some, Muni, even in, the semi-spiritual material kind of a form, they can visit up to abode of the Lord. That means the Shvetadvipa planet that we will see later, Durvasa Muni visiting there. But Narada Muni, he can traverse across the universes and visit because their body is spiritual. So Lord and such devotees, they can visit in their spiritual body and therefore they are called as Achyuta. Whereas the living entity, when the living entity comes down, the living entity is not Achyuta because to function in the material world, they come in the material body. And thus they become entangled in the material laws of nature and thus they become Chuta. So this is further Prabhupada says, Lord is attractive to everyone. Especially here, the Lord captivated the mind of Prithu and all the priests assembled, all the personalities assembled there. Lord is attractive and therefore it's called as Krishna. What is the word meaning of the word Krishna? Karshati, akarshati, iti Krishna. One who is extremely attractive. And then what makes one attractive? Aishwaryas makes one attractive. Aishwaryasya. Aishwarya not means wealth only. Aishwaryasya samagrasya Viryasya yashasha shriyah Jnana vairagyanushchaiva Shannam bhaga itingana. So these are the 6 bhaga opulences that makes one attractive. And here the Lord appears is Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, and Srila Prabhupada quotes that how there are 3 Vishnu's Trini Rupani. So Karanodakshaya Vishnu, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, and Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. And he is the Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, who is the plenary expansion of Lord Krishna. Now this is the concluding verse of this chapter, text 38. Adrishtaya namaskritam nrupa sandarshitatmane avyaktaya cha devanam devaya svapuram yayau. Translation.
King Prithu then offered his respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the Supreme Lord of all demigods. Although not an object of material vision, the Lord revealed himself to the sight of Maharaj Prithu. After offering obeisances to the Lord, the king returned to his home. Purport: the Supreme Lord is not visible to material eyes, but when the material senses are inclined to the transcendental loving service of the Lord and are thus purified, the Lord reveals himself to the vision of the devotee. Avyakta means unmanifested. Although the material world is the creation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is unmanifested to material eyes. Maharaj Prithu, however, developed spiritual eyes by his pure devotional service. Here, therefore, the Lord is described as Sandarshitatmaha, for he reveals himself to the vision of the devotee, although he is not visible to ordinary eyes. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 4th canto, 20th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Lord Vishnu's Appearance in the Sacrificial Arena of Maharaj Prithu.
Yeah. King Prithu then offered his respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Lord, who is the Lord of Deva Devanam, Devanam Devaya, is the Lord of all the Devatas. Although he is Avyaktaya, not to be seen by the material eyes, Prithu Maharaj had the fortune of seeing the Lord in the self-same body, and thus he returned now, Svapuram Yayau, went back to his home. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentions the Supreme Lord is not visible to the material eyes. Right? So, when the material senses can see only material form, but when the material senses, they are engaged in the service of the Lord, they are purified and they can see the spiritual form. That is the very basic definition of bhakti, right? What is the definition of bhakti?
सर्वोपनिषद तत्परत्वेन निर्मलं ऋषिकेन ऋषिकेश
Yeah, Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam, bhakti rucha. So the Supreme Lord is Achyuta, unmanifested, but he became manifest in front of the eyes of the Prithu Maharaj, because the eyes of the Prithu Maharaj had turned into Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena. Thus he reveals himself to the vision of the devotee, although he is not seen by ordinary eyes. So this is how we conclude the chapter 20th, entitled Lord Vishnu's Appearance in the Sacrificial Arena of Maharaj Prithu. So the next chapter is Instructions by Maharaj Prithu. So in this chapter we will see that citizens, they are going to, just like you win the World Cup and the team is being welcomed, now here citizens are extremely happy with Maharaj Prithu for failed 100th Ashwamedh Yajna. This is the glory, right? And then, the Prithu's rule and the bodily features and speech of Prithu will be described. And then Prithu Maharaj speaks to the citizens. So this is the next chapter. So is there any question, comment? We have a couple more minutes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare, yes.
Prabhuji, when we were talking about the 26 qualities which were described, you gave one reference that one of the Prabhujis were talking about developing one quality every year as such. So
Right.
just wanted to understand, Prabhuji, how can one develop such type of qualities by thinking about it, and how appropriate it would be to think about it and start developing those qualities? Will not that push us towards developing some sort of pride or something like that, or we should simply start engaging more and more in bhakti so that these qualities would automatically become manifested? What is your thought on that, Prabhuji? Hare Krishna.
Srila Prabhupada very elaborately writes about this. This comes in Bhagavatam. Qualities also come in Bhagavad Gita. That 13.8 to 12, those verses. So two things here. One thing is, whenever we are engaged in devotional service, all these qualities will start manifesting within a devotee. Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavati akinchana sarvair gunair tatra samasite sura. So samasate means, sarvair gunair samasate means, just like the birds come and sit on the tree, similarly it is said that all these qualities will fly and will sit on the personality of a devotee. Okay. So to the degree our bhakti is tivrena and bhakti is shuddha, pure and intense. At the same time, being conscious of these qualities can, be very helpful. That devotee is truthful. What happens in Kali Yuga, I have seen this with myself also. Some simple thing also, there is we will see later that Kali Yuga tendency means छोटी छोटी बात पे unnecessary झूठ बोलना. Right? Like, something like you're chanting and some phone call comes, you tell your daughter that usko bol do main ghar mein nahi hu, something like so. And India is such a place, we have so many roles to manage, and we are not like a Western country. Americans, they are very blunt on the face sometimes. So India paradigm is little different, but then we have to be aware. Arey, devotee is truthful. I mean, sometimes when you want to take a leave for yatra or something like that, you have to छोटा मोटा कारण इधर उधर देना ही पड़ता है. But at least let me be truthful in my day-to-day dealings. Wife is asking कितना rounds बचा है रात को. I'm just telling about my own life. कितना rounds बचा है? You say that दो ही बचा है. I mean, so that I don't have to hear her this thing कि क्या क्या दिन भर ऐसा वैसा. Actually 5 rounds are remaining. So devotee is truthful. So when we are aware of these qualities, what happens is that slowly we start moving towards it. See, no changes are drastic, no changes, and anything drastic is not sustainable as well. But when we start being aware, devotee is meek. When we are angry, we should, suddenly we are reminded, Are, thoda control the reaction, right? Devotee works for everybody's benefit. So these are the qualities. So what we can do is we can do our bhakti very nicely and we just be aware of these qualities. That being aware itself can make a good delta in our life. Right?
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Dhanatma, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I have a small question from the previous section. When Mother Earth is being milked, so there we see the description that different residents of different planets, they receive different things from Mother Earth, like capability to fly, demigods, they receive nectar and etc etc. So I'm just wondering that say example of mystic power, receiving mystic power from Mother Earth. So I was just having this question that these denizens, they had already this capability, or I mean after getting from Mother Earth, like this after in the form of
They
milk.
already have, and they are refined as well later. Like, you attend the spiritual master's class, and one senior devotee will tell you, Today I really learned what the humility is. Does that mean that he was not humble before? No, he's humble. But, the deeper, refined meanings of humility are being revealed. Right? So they have these qualities, but, the refined aspect of it, they are revealed in the due course of time. Right?
Okay,
So having and knowing, there are various depths of it. Like, we know Ramayana, but when we hear somebody who is like very well versed in Ramayana, we realize, Arey baap re, Ramayana to pehli baar suna maine. So, I mean, so not he has not heard first time, but the newer meanings, the refined aspects, they are being learnt in that particular session or with that particular activity. So like that it is. And it is slightly figurative also. But yes, Mother Earth is is reservoir of many things. Modern times we know only one technique. Just drill the earth and get the gas out and get the oil out and get some minerals out here and there. This is the only thing that we generally know. But this is when somebody is as qualified as Maharaj Prathu and being following the instructions, then they can milk earth in so many different ways. And Mother Earth is very happy to be milked like this. Right?
yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah, so we will conclude here.
Prabhuji, in previous
Hare
questions
Yeah.
answer, actually developing the good qualities of Vaishnava in the devotee by devotional service, practicing devotional service is like Lord's mercy, but our endeavors are also important, na? Both the side.
Endeavors to perform devotional service are also calculated in endeavors to develop the qualities.
Yes.
Right. And endeavor doesn't mean that you have to do some phenomenally extraordinary things. Just chanting our rounds attentively, completing rounds daily, properly. Whatever we are doing that very well. Many times we are so distracted. While chanting, we are watching a mobile. While reading, we are doing something. So this is like quite a distracted world. So even if we can do the basic things very well, which Srila Prabhupada has given, chanting 16 rounds properly, following 4 regulative principles properly, honoring only prasadam, and systematically studying the way we are studying, systematically studying Srimad Bhagavatam, doing one arati in a day, and then doing one's varnashram extremely well. This is uncompromising. Doing one's varnashram duty extremely well. This is where Bhagavad Gita begins. And this struggle itself is, so struggle of devotional service is struggle of everything, pleasing the Supreme Lord, developing the qualities. That is all included.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, we are now in Marteloka and we have free will. So we go to the upper planets or lower planet. So these free wills come from our previous karma, ya nitya karma, ya bhakti. So how we get next life or someone? Is
No, the free will is always there with the living entity. So, and the major challenge is to, rightly utilize the free will. Correct. That's a major challenge because, it is said that when somebody is going back home, back to Godhead, he will, of course, the path goes. There are multiple descriptions. Prabhupada also talks multiple types in that. One Prabhupada says that a living entity is shown all the planetary systems, when he's on the way back home, back to Godhead. Another place Prabhupada writes that living entity he just closes his eyes here in the material world and opens in the spiritual world. So, going by first explanation, when one is going through the universal arena, one should not be, attracted by the happiness or enjoyment there. And that is the part of the free will. Right. And it is very important that we should not get attracted. Like, and what is the day-to-day experience of this? Sometimes we may go, sometimes, there is some devotee who is extremely rich and he calls us for some program, to attend program or give program or something like that. Sometimes their riches may bewilder us. We may think that, kya kiya life mein, I've just wasted my life. Look at this, where people are, kya hai logon ke paas. And the gaadi kuch alag direction mein jayega. Right?
Yes.
So, not getting influenced and maintaining one's, that pure desire is very important. We have seen few things. On the way back home, back to Godhead, we will see the Vichitra Jagat, Vichitra in a positive sense, means, very fantastic world we will see. And we should not get enamored by that. Right?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhupada.
Thank you,
Prabhuji.
Prabhupada. Thank you,
Hare
everyone.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna.